Yeah, it's a good question, Dylan. So the first thing is relationships. I make the relationship. It could be with the seller. It could be with the owner. Ask questions. Really figure out like what's their motive. What are they doing? And then one thing I advise all the agents, coming from like a mentorship aspect is one offer. The offer that you're making needs to be really, really good. But if you make two or three offers, now you've given the choice to the seller. In some instances, choice is bad. In some instances, it's good. You only know the answer if you ask questions.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. Today's guest, Andrew Bosco, is a New England-based real estate entrepreneur and CEO of Candor Realty with a focus on building scalable, investor-centric brokerage systems. He also leads Granite and Pine Properties and Candor Investment Group, offering flexible solutions including listings, cash purchases, and seller financing. Andrew, thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me, Dylan. Excited to be here, and let's kick it off with you, man.
Absolutely. And New England real estate, I have a lot of affinity to New England. My dad grew up in the New England area, was up there every summer. I lived in New England briefly, but now I'm in a different climate. I'm in Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic. So
A little different.
what's it like up there right now? It's probably pretty cold right now. Probably some snow on the ground, right?
Yeah, yeah, we got a few inches of snow. You have the freezing pipes to worry about, not like you have to do in the Dominican. You have different like ice dams and all that stuff and whatnot. So yeah, quite cold and a lot of snow right now.
You know what's interesting when you talk about the freezing pipes, everything's winterized in New England for the most part, right? So how much of a concern really is that for investors and for everyday folks?
Yeah, so for investors, I mean, the reality is we're like any other market, right? So, in the spring and the fall, you're gonna have really good selling season. So anything you buy in November to like February, you got to be conscious of like when you're going to sell, which is probably 6 months with June because you got the holidays.
Yeah.
And then the freezing pipes, as much as we want to say it's winterized, not everybody does as good enough job as probably you would do. So, I've been to some houses where there's pipes that were in the ground outside of the house that were a water inlet line, and they wrapped it with like an insulation tubing.
So that's
So it,
one way to handle it, right?
one way to
Um,
handle it. Yeah, yeah. Not the right way, but
how did you get involved in brokerage? Was it through investing or did brokerage come first?
it's a great question. No, so I used to work full W-2. I was a scientist at a few different like major pharmaceuticals. And full transparency, I got kind of bored, I guess is the way to work. I knew the harder I was working, I wasn't getting any reward from it. And I
Yeah.
tried going into sales, didn't work. And I said, what? I'll get my sales experience in real estate. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea. And so then I got it, went through, part-time agent, mornings, nights, weekends, and full-time broke and full-time W-2 work. And so it just kind of fell in my lap, was a part-time agent for about a year and did really, really well my first year.
Now, when we talk about making that type of transition, right? Going from W to science, right? Into real estate, two totally different fields, almost two different parts of the brain. Did you know people in real estate at that point in time to kind of guide you along that path, or was this a leap of faith for you?
No, it's a good question. So I think everybody has a friend that's a realtor. So I knew people that were in the game, but they weren't doing what I wanted to do. I didn't want to help the forever family buy their forever home and like the perfect shades and whatnot. I was more of a numbers guy. The science background comes from analytics. And so I just was like, numbers make sense to me. Investment property makes sense. I actually found my quote unquote mentor, person that I work with now every day, John Babachi, through meetups. And so I saw him Bigger Pockets, went through that realm, and I saw this place. It's like a free meetup for real estate investors. So I showed up and just talked to him and like 30 other people. And I went to my wife and I was like, that's the group I'm going to be with. Like that group right there that has these meetups, that's exactly who I want to be around. And so it just kind of exploded from there and, joined their brokerage, and the rest is history.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Now, as someone who's working with investors, as an investor yourself, was there a segment that you were maybe initially looking at, be it like single family distressed, or was it a mix across the board?
Pretty much, yeah. So I think when you start anything, you don't know what to not know. So I kind of just opened my arms to everything, and I found myself gravitating towards the investor side, whether it was single family or multifamily. Could have been fix and flips, could have been multifamily, distressed properties, foreclosure, whatever. There was a problem to solve, and I had a lot of fun with the problem.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's really what it turned into.
Yeah, I mean, I know that exactly. Coming myself from the distressed seller space, off market, foreclosure, pre foreclosure, uh, death, probate, right? I've seen exactly, how it takes a problem solving mind in order to get these deals to happen. And the reality
Yep.
is that most, and I am a realtor, so I feel like I can say this lovingly. Most realtors are not trying to work with folks that are in these situations, and so it takes someone who's going to have a investor network or be an investor themselves in order to come up with a creative solution so that everyone walks away feeling good about it.
Yeah, to your point, Dylan. I mean, I being a scientist taught me how to be analytical but listen, and a lot of A/B testing. And so I did that in the beginning. I A/B tested. I listened. Active listening is a really important skill. And the first thing I remember telling somebody was like, "Listen, my solutions may not be for you, may not be for the next person, but I think I need to listen to all your problems." And that went a long way for most people. It's just tell
Yeah.
me, if I could give anybody advice, is don't sell, solve a problem. You will intrinsically sell because of that. And that's just, if you are a problem solver, you will make money. That is just a fact.
When we talk about solving these problems in the real estate space, I've seen every variety of problems. Sometimes I feel like when you're an investor, you're as much a mediator, as a therapist, as a
Oh, yeah.
apartment locator, as someone who's planning like logistics and like storage, and everything in between. What's some of the stories that you have, or maybe one that comes to mind when you talk about problem solving and dealing with buyers and sellers?
No, that's a good question. So it's funny. I actually see this in a different light now. So as the CEO of the Cantor Investment Group, because we changed our name from Cantor Real Investment Group joining EXP is what it is. The thing I have to laugh at is I see everybody's stories now. And so I find myself, the good story that I'll share is I had an agent that was on our team, super, rock star person. Her name is Sonia. And Sonia had this commercial property and she's never bought commercial property before in her life. And she called me the other day and she's like, I have a friend whose parents just passed away. They have this big commercial parcel and they want my help. I don't know what to do. And I thought it was kind of a funny remark. I said, well, there's a lot of things. What do you want to do with it? And she's like, I want to buy the building. Okay. And so we talked through the strategy. I said, listen to their problems. And she said, I don't want to pay capital gains. I owe no mortgage on this. And, it was her friend. And I looked at her, I was like, that's a perfect seller finance scenario. See if she'll finance it for you. You have a relationship. You've already crossed that border. She owes it outright and she wants to make some money, wants to offset capital gains. I was like, that seems like a perfect fit. And so hearing her story, we had like 3 to 5 phone calls and she kept going over problems and questions and we were solving through that issue. And At the end of it, she ended up walking with a really awesome building, and then she's going to burr out of it in like a few years and call it and make a ton of money. And so that was just, it's a problem that like the traditional agent would have just probably said, just list it, be done with it, move on, get the commission check and move on. She, instead of getting a listing.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Acquired an asset through seller finance and had a good relationship and has a great relationship with that, former seller still. So I see a lot of those scenarios all the time.
When we talk about seller financing, I've seen this personally. There's a lot of people right now that are part of different communities who are looking at seller financing. They may have some experience in the single family space, maybe moving into looking at multifamily or commercial in general at large, and they're looking at making seller financing offers. How, without giving away all the gold here, Andrew, how would you recommend folks go about making offers on seller financing for some of these properties that they might find, whether it's on market, off market, on Crexy, LoopNet, wherever you can find them?
Yeah, it's a good question, Dylan. So the first thing is relationships. I make the relationship. It could be with the seller, it could be with the owner. Ask questions, really figure out like what's their motive, what are they doing. And then one thing I advise all the agents, coming from like a mentorship aspect, is one offer. The offer that you're making needs to be really, really good. But if you make two or three offers, now you've given the choice to the seller. In some instances, choice is bad. In some instances, it's good. You only know the answer if you ask questions. So figure out what they need. Is it everything? A sale, as you know, Dylan, is it's price, terms, and time. And it's one of those. Two of those three are really, really important. You got to figure out which those are. Make the offer that works for you, but make it two or three ways. And that can be pretty powerful. A lot of our, investors do that and agents do that internally. They'll make two, maybe three offers, a cash deal, a seller finance deal, and maybe they'll do like a listing deal that's direct to owner and see what happens. And then typically the seller is like, I like that one option. All three options work for them, for the buyer. But that's my gold nugget to everybody, is be creative in that regard. Like think about two or three ways that you can make this offer.
When we talk about multiple different offers as well, it does at least lend itself towards, hey, these are investors themselves who own these larger deals. If they are distressed, and many of them are, especially in multifamily right now, if they bought too deep 5 years ago, where are they at today, right? Arm loans and so forth, costs of materials, rents stabilizing or going
Mhm.
down in places like Austin, Texas, where I'm licensed. But walk me through, how an investor might evaluate their own situation, right? So they might be looking at this and saying, okay, well, I've either got to extend, how long we want to stay on this deal. We thought we were going to exit in 5 years, or if we can't do that, we may have to look at selling, either at break even or maybe even taking a loss. We're maybe looking at seller financing, but I don't really want to do that. Is that the process there, or what's the kind of mental gymnastics that sellers are doing?
Yeah, so to the mental gymnastics, like if we're saying like the right now, kind of going forward, I tell everybody like when you buy it, you better know how you're exiting it three ways. Give me three realistic exits that you're going to give. I don't care if it's listing at a certain price and then a lower price or creative finance. You better have those three options ready. Just to your point, Dylan, like the market shifted pretty fast for a lot of people. And so you got to have that exit. I'd say for current sellers, people that are in that scenario, I think your network is your net worth. And I think talking to other people that are investors, maybe other people, that is going to give you options out there, because a lot of people are trading internally. There's a lot of off market trades. Seller finance is a really good option for people, but you need to have the relationship. And that relationship can go a long way if you're willing to hold, maybe you have some seller, maybe about the deal in like the last 5 years, you're willing to hold some paper, but not all. You're gonna feel better about the situation if you know the person. And so that's kind of my situation of talking through any current seller, is like network out there, figure out a 1031 if that's a better option, seller finance, or do you just cut your losses and move to the next asset?
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about being able to identify when the right time to cut your losses is, that's a difficult thing, right? And in these larger deals, there's more margin for there's a greater upside, but there's also a greater downside too. And I think what happened, and I've said this before, is there was like this time period from like 2014 to like 2019 where just every deal seemed to work in multifamily. And so people were, had a 5-year exit strategy and they were hitting their pro forma in like half the time. And so when you're seeing that and you're seeing that and you're seeing that, uh, come 2019, 2020, you're thinking, okay, well, I've got to get in on this. And then you have these black swan events, right? You've got COVID happening. Then you've got rates doubling, literally, like the premium, the mortgages were doubling on these properties. Then you have all these people thinking the same thing, all of this new construction happening throughout the country. Like I'm licensed in Texas, Arizona, Florida, the Carolinas, Georgia, Alabama, and so on. You've got all this development happening. This creates like a downward pressure on rents. So now like nothing is penciling. So you're at the back end of this and you're thinking, well, what do I do now? And I know some really big fund managers and syndicators who have a large portfolio who haven't bought anything in years, literally, because of this.
Yeah, I'd say, your syndicators and your investors out there who are raising money, and the LPs out there of the world, they need to be careful, because when you're buying larger deals like what you're talking about, they need to ask themselves who's the operator and if they're going to actually perform today the history. I've seen more and more syndication operations, like new people start in like 2020 and on. They've only really seen the good. They haven't seen bad yet. And I think you're seeing who the big ball players are right now. Who are the ones that are actually making money for others, from like a fund perspective. And so my big takeaway when I hear about HR, they talk about, shifting markets and whatnot, is you need to have a diverse relationship crowd. You need to have a group that you're not all the same demographic. I know in like one of the syndication groups I can think of, they have a gentleman who's 60 years old, another guy who's 40, and a handful of guys that are 30 really operating. The 60 and 40-year-old are there because they remember '08 and they remember
Yeah.
what it was like. And so I think you need to have that balance.
Yeah, that's key, right? Because if you don't have that reference point, you kind of haven't been burned yet, right? So your reactions might be a little bit different when you're looking at these deals. It's oftentimes the deals that you pass up that are the most important ones, because those are the ones that could sink the ship. I want to ask you maybe a granular question about New England real estate, especially for folks who are investors in Massachusetts, in New Hampshire, Rhode Island, some of those other surrounding states. For folks who are newer investors, New England is known for being a higher entry point area. But then you've also got some other areas where, if you're in Boston, it might not be the easiest place to be a single family investor, but you could look at New Hampshire and some of these other areas. Any advice to folks who may be looking at getting into the investment game and they're based out of New England?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I'd say anybody that's based out of New England, if you're looking to kind of like make your entryway, break it down to like bite-sized chunks that make sense to you. So don't buy in the middle of nowhere, bad school system, it isn't checking boxes for quality of life. You're not going to probably do super well, in the sense of like, it's not desirable. So if I was brand new starting, somebody else at this end of the day, I'd find an A-B market, and then I would look just outside of that. I'd look in the surrounding towns, look at school districts that feed the best school districts. People are going to want to move there. I'd also stick between 20 minutes off the highways, the major highways, 93 or 95 or 91, and look across there. Those are the core areas where most people are going to want to be in. And then if I was also starting again, I would spend a egregious amount of time networking my face off. I would just
Yeah.
go super hard, figure out who the wholesalers are. I find a partner, a mentor who has done this before and is willing to work together. You got to bring something to the table though, whether it's operation, money, I don't really care what it is. You got to bring something. And I would, between knowing your location and your buy box, having the right connection and mentorship, and then probably the third is I would just get out there and shake a lot of hands. And that goes into the networking part. There's meetups everywhere. Candor, we have called the Candor Investor Meetups. They're free. We have like 13 of them across New England. I've seen more people make deals happen on those meetups than any other place across New England. And they're all over New England. So anybody can go. If you're new, I would absolutely recommend going to those.
Yeah, I think the networking can literally not be overlooked. If someone was to tell me what's the most important thing, I would tell them, yes, you've got to put your nose to the grindstone. Yes, you've got to understand, how to underwrite deals. But literally the most important thing for me has been networking by far. I mean, it's saved me time, money. I felt like I've been able to benefit off of the knowledge and wisdom of others. So I second that very much. We are coming up on time here though, Andrew. Where can the folks go? Where can our audience go to learn more about you and your team? Any projects that you guys are working on right now as well?
Yeah, it's a good question. So you can find me anywhere. My social, I'll give you my socials after the call. You put up the show notes, my LinkedIn. I'll give you my email. You guys will have everything. So I'm Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm all there. I'm an open book. I get a lot of messages and DMs. Again, I think being the CEO, you have that title. People reach out to you about certain things. So at the end of the day, I try to be very reachable. I'll give people my calendar, book time to have a call. I'm always happy to meet you. And plus, we have the meetups. Like I said, we have the free Candor Investor meetups. You can find us at Facebook and meetups.com. I go to quite a few of them. And so meeting people like yourself or anybody else that's a new investor or really experienced investor, I talk to a lot of people every day and I might be able to find somebody to help you out.
Andrew, thanks so much for coming on the show today. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Dylan.
Thanks for joining us for today's show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing on your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. You can also check out the show's notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and even how to work with me directly one-on-one. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. See you on the next show.